What's up guys, hope y'all are having a great day today. We're going strong on day 4 of daily uploads, so it would mean a lot to me if you would go ahead and click that big ass red subscribe button under your screen. But enough e-begging, Doom Eternal is a good game. It's aged phenomenally well over the past year, and it's the one shooter I've ever liked so much that I had the desire to get good at it. Which, to be real, I'm still complete shit, but you know what? It makes my content even easier to laugh at when you get to see my horrible gameplay. But you want to know what else about my personal life? Sometimes in my free time, I like to watch these terrible Doom Eternal reviews to make myself feel better about being so shit at the game. Because while I might still be shit, at least I'm not shit and as mentally retarded as these people. And since my last shitty Doom Eternal response video got over 1,000 views when it absolutely should not have, I'm gonna do it again. Play the fucking video.
TLDW, the game is overdone and poorly balanced.
I have no clue how you could think the game could be overdone. I think it honestly has perfect pacing. The game took me about 18 hours to beat my first playthrough, and from start to finish there was never really a boring moment. And the perfect pacing is proven even more but with the fact that I've been able to replay this game about 5 times already in the last 9 months, I want to say. Not to mention how many times I've replayed the individual levels and master level. For the poorly balanced thing, I can understand why some people would have thought that at launch. People had a lot of problems with the Marauder at launch because nobody knew how to fight that fucker. And since this video only came out about a week after the game came out, I'm gonna cut him some slack and say he just didn't really have enough time to learn the mechanics of the Marauder, as proven a little bit into the video, because the video had to be rushed out to get that bag, which I respect. But once you learn how to work the Marauders, no, those things are not as strong as the bosses.
If you're on the fence about this, just replay Doom 2016 and wait for a sale. Okay, now that all the people who are just gonna disliking leave have been sated, let's have a big boy talk.
Yes, because if you don't agree with him, you're just a little kid crying about someone criticizing your favorite game. I mean, debating skills 100 right here.
Doom 2016 is a genuine masterpiece of game design, and having it be both a hardcore experience and a fun time simultaneously.
I wouldn't say 2016 is a masterpiece. For one, they take literally forever to give you the guns, showing how Eternal has much better pacing than 2016. They kill you for fucking up the platforming, so then you have to go all the way back. 2016 is much more slow paced than Eternal. The platforming is even less clear about what the fuck you're supposed to do. All of the levels look the same. The story completely fucked up the Doom timeline, while Eternal fixed literally every single one of those flaws I just listed.
Doom Eternal is labeled as a masterpiece on Steam thanks to id Software and Bethesda's marketing teams knowing how to conduct the hype train straight into pre-order station. Doom Eternal is a good lesson in success being the worst teacher. It's a good game, but since the predecessor was immaculate, id Software had no idea what to work on or improve and ended up putting their efforts into places where everything was already just right the way it was, and therefore—
No, not at all. Again, the 5 flaws I just listed from 2016, Eternal fixed every single one. I think the one subjective thing I've heard that everyone brings up is that in 2016 they let you use your guns a lot more freely, but I prefer Eternal to this honestly because Eternal made me think a lot more how to use my guns rather than just 2016 just letting me do whatever the fuck. It kind of feels like they're treating you like a child with no clue how to manage your ammo. It's like comparing Super Mario Galaxy to Super Mario Odyssey. It's like no contest.
Or now it's all overdone. Oh, and perhaps we wanted this hashtag masterpiece so badly that we willingly looked past a bunch of red flags that were clear, present, and even brought up by a few people who were shouted down. The first red flag was that all the early trailers were bullshit.
Yeah, the early trailers, because usually when a game is very early in development, things are a lot different from the final product. Fuck, this stuff can go all the way back to even Resident Evil 4 when they showed off the demo for that game with the dolls and shit. This is nothing new, and it's happened with tons of other absolutely phenomenal games, Doom Eternal included. Fuck, even 2016 did this, I believe.
In fact, I learned that the term for a pre-rendered cinematic designed to try and fool a viewer into thinking that it was a real person playing the game in real time was called bullshot, from id Software getting caught doing just that during the first E3 gameplay trailer. Remember when E3 was a thing? A second red flag was the delay in the later admission that the team had already been crunching for most of the year.
Once again, delays are very common. Tons of great games have been delayed before. Fuck, literally all 3 of my favorite games of all time have been delayed. And honestly, we should be glad they delayed the game, because chances are they would have launched the game in a broken state, a la Fallout 76, with Bethesda's shitty management.
Nothing good comes from extended period of crunch, no matter what that new person in HR says. Lastly, and I hate to say it, but YouTubers and media outlets not unlike myself were a part of the problem. If you look at all the media leading up to Doom Eternal's launch, everything was either a softball interview, or worse, the content was done right inside of the spider's parlor, so to speak. A lot of the YouTube videos showing off gameplay pre-release were admittedly done right inside of the studio, with admissions that the devs were looking over the shoulders as the YouTubers played.
But there's a difference here. They don't want gameplay being recorded that doesn't represent the final product. That's like business 101. And even the YouTubers got to give their completely unbiased thoughts on the gameplay with nobody looking over their shoulder. I mean, do you really think they would have let the horrible Dean Takahashi gameplay out if there was someone looking over that dude's shoulder? Absolutely not. And with it shown that so many people do like the game, including myself, it's really clear that these YouTubers weren't paid off.
Additionally, a lot of that content from the videos almost reads like ad copy, hitting all the talking points that someone in marketing would want a paid actor for a commercial to say. But that's not to say that the people who went out to id Software to get their early gameplay footage for videos were being paid to say nice things. However, I'm sure that everyone would certainly like to be invited back to their studios for more exclusive pre-release video content recording sessions when Doom 3 2 Doom Guy Goes to Universal Studios to get his movie rights back is up for release.
Except the game's been out for over a year now and people still absolutely love it. So you would think if this guy was right, people would have noticed by now that the game was terrible. But you see, he's wrong. And people do love the game. So, yeah.
Now, this isn't to say that Doom Eternal is awful. It's just not the amazing savior of our quarantine boredom that we thought it would be. If anything, I'd like to get maybe 7 of the 14 hours it took me to get through this back so I can get about 2/3 of the way through another playthrough of Resident Evil 4. But you can't really exchange time like that. People certainly like it, and it's not on the same level as, say, The Outer Worlds or some other big disappointment. However, it is in no way a real contender for Game of the Year, unless all the games that got delayed from Q1 to late in the year get further delayed into 2021 thanks to the need to fight off the Rona.
So we're just gonna go for a trip down memory lane, back to my first main commentary video back in December of 2020, back during the Game Awards. We're gonna look at the nominees. So they've got Last of Us 2, Ghost of Tsushima, Animal Crossing New Horizons, Final Fantasy VII Remake, Hades, and Doom Eternal. Now, all of those games are really fucking good. I might even say something that could get me canceled by the commentary community for a certain game I just so happen to enjoy. But anyways, looking at all these games, I've actually gotten to, at the very least, try all of these, with Hades being the only one I haven't actually finished. But in terms of gameplay, Doom Eternal fucking stomps every single one of these games into the fucking ground.
It might get it anyway though, because let's face it, game reviews are a sycophant's paradise.
Boy, do I wish that would have happened.
If we look at the Metacritic page for the PC version of the game, we see not one, but 2 massive red flags. The first is that there's more than 2 full-letter grades between the user score and the critic score.
Yeah, because there was review bombing when the game first came out because the anti-cheat Bethesda had put into the game, not to mention all of the people expecting more of a sequel to Doom 2016 rather than the entirely new thing that Eternal actually was.
Maybe id Software throws really good industry parties. Maybe the major critics knew that tanking everyone's darling beacon of hope wasn't a very good idea if they wanted to avoid the internet hate train. Seriously, a lot of these critic reviews read like they're fighting each other to become box quotes on a game that they know is going to sell like hell.
Well, I don't know why they would try to appeal to the fans of the game, because we already fucking hate the game's journalists for being so fucking terrible at the game.
I can't help but notice that even Jim Demonetized Sterling's son was being gentle on the game itself. And folks focus most of his criticisms on the internet's favorite punching bag, Bethesda Softworks, and otherwise use kitty gloves on every other thing about the game in his Gympressions video. The second major red flag was that when we look at the user scores, which there's already a whole lot of for the PC version, we see the uh-oh curve. What is the uh-oh curve? It's when there's a polarizing disparity between the consensus of reviews, often signifying that either someone is trying to manipulate the score of a product in one way or another, or that a lot of people are willing to ignore a lot of good or bad stuff in order to maintain that their initial expectations were right, and to avoid, God forbid, feeling like they might have been wrong about something. If
Look, here's the thing.
Fine. Listen,
I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm kind of retarded.
If the reviews trended one way or another, this would be fine, but just in general, whenever you see this particular curve on any product's review page, the buyer should beware. Alright, we're 4 pages of script in here. Let's actually talk about where Doom Eternal went horribly wrong, because everybody likes a callback. Alright, let's start out with the ripping and the tearing, which is to say the core gameplay. The combat, it feels akin to getting too drunk when you're young and still learning the limits of liquor consumption, which has happened to all of us, let's be honest. It feels really awesome at first for like an hour or so, but after a while you get extremely disoriented and confused and you're starting to feel bad and you end up having a not so good time.
Or maybe, now get this, you're just shit. I mean, seriously, look at your fucking gameplay, man. You're trying to use the full auto to try to kill one of the fucking Maker drones. You're using the full auto on a Kako demon. You're playing it like it's 2016. It's not fucking 2016. Way too many people look at Eternal like a sequel to 2016 rather than its own thing, and you very clearly do that. Stop comparing 2016 to Eternal. They are 2 completely different games. Again, it's like comparing Mario Odyssey to Mario Galaxy. If I wanted more of 2016, I would just find a modded level for that game. You bought a new game and expected it to be like DLC to the previous one.
Somehow overstimulated and you have dulled senses at the same time. And I attribute this to how there's just too many enemies in the arena at any given time.
Oh no. Is he really trying to say that Doom Eternal has too much gameplay? Jesus fucking Christ. Okay, you would have to be Harmon Smith. No, Dean Takahashi levels of bad to think that Doom Eternal has too many enemies in the arena. So the fighter enemies are literally just ammo pools. If you have 2 brain cells to rub together, you'll avoid them. But I wouldn't even consider these to be demons. Then there's the bigger dudes, the heavies, the super heavies, and these are the dudes you actually need to try to take down. And I'd say they do a pretty good job easing you into this. They'll introduce a new enemy to you, then they'll add in a few more of these enemies into a single arena, and it pushes you into getting into the combat rhythm and adapting to the new curveball they just threw at you. Now, throughout the base campaign, I'd say that most of these bigger heavy and super heavy demons the game throws at you into a single arena is about like 20. And correct me if I'm wrong, I think the most at a time is about 6 to 8. That's not a lot. Sure, it's a higher number than this guy's brain cells, but still, it's not too much.
You're out of the early game. How can you tell that this is the case? Well, for one, there are at times so many monsters in the arenas that you can effectively make it your strategy to position yourself between low-level enemies and the stuff that's actually supposed to be a threat, because they won't actually attack through each other. Enemies will like patiently go around one another. There's so much stuff going on that you can't focus on any one thing long enough to deal with it, and you're constantly getting broadsided by demons thanks to there being so many of them and so many more constantly spawning that you can't keep track of them all.
What? Do you have like ADHD or something? Do you not know how to fucking count? And fuck, you don't even need to know how many enemies you have to kill. You just shoot them until everything's dead. Like, yeah, when I'm playing Doom, I'm not focusing on how fast my weapon switching is or which gun is going to fit my situation the best. I'm focused on counting how many demons there are in an arena. Yep. Jesus Christ, I have fucking ADHD and I'm not even this bad.
There's other problems caused by how much stuff is in at any given encounter, but we'll get to that in just a moment. In the meantime, we've got the same repetitive combat and the 2 big whys.
Dear God, it's fucking Harmon Smith again.
Maybe a 3rd big why. And then we've got to talk about how this game is what's called Nintendo hard. So
you know what Nintendo hard is? It's like hard like an NES game, which Doom Eternal really isn't. I don't know how you fucking think that, but whatever. I don't want to waste your time, so I'm just going to skip this part.
Doom Eternal is 42 gigabytes unpacked and does not have an excuse for all the crap that it does. Exhibit A of Nintendo Hard, the Marauder.
Woo boy, this is gonna be fun.
Marauder is meant to be a mini boss and one of the demons made specifically to deal with Doom Guy. This would be okay if, like the other anti-Slayer demons, he played fair. The Marauder likes to ignore clean hits that get past his shield because screw you, that's why. I'm okay with playing by the rules and only—
But why the fuck is he using the chain gun against the Marauder? It literally shows to use the super shotgun in the fucking tutorial. Fuck, even the Marauder doesn't even require weapon swapping to take him down efficiently. Sure, it definitely does help, but you can literally run around the arena with the super shotgun and just fire as many super shotgun rounds into the dude as possible. It's not that hard. I honestly used to do it.
Hitting him when he's about to attack in his very nebulously defined vulnerability zone, if it wasn't for the fact that damage only seems to count if it's inflicted as he's doing the attack. Pop him with a salvo of micro missiles while he's attacking? Too bad, his shield will pop up as they're exploding and effectively negate the damage, despite the fact that they're lodged in his chest and the missiles are behind the barrier of magical ignoring damage because screw you, that's why. You also—
Because again, look at the tutorial. Here, I'll even simple it down into retard terms for you. Marauder go, ooh, titty. You use the super shotgun. Super shotgun go brr. Marauder go, ow. Repeat until Marauder dead.
So eventually learn that the way to effectively, consistently deal with Marauders is to abuse low-level demons because he won't charge through them and exploit corners into fooling the AI into charging. The Marauder also doesn't seem to be too interested in the job of slaying the Slayer because if you chainsaw or glory kill an enemy near him if you need health, he'll just, like every other monster, politely wait for you to finish your business before resuming being extremely cheap. Now, let's talk about how the overabundance of enemies is a facet of Nintendo Hard. Waves of enemies will spawn on top of one another, making things even more crowded if you killed the wrong thing too soon, and you'll get cornered a lot because you were careless, but because there's physically no space for you to move, you're just gonna have to sit there and get rope-a-doped until you get lucky or die.
Now, see, that's where the dash, grenades, or blood punch come in handy. The dash allows you to move away from a group of enemies before you die. 2016 didn't have this. The blood punch allows you to knock back a bunch of enemies and do some solid damage to them as well. Again, 2016 didn't have this. Grenades, 2016 did have, but it didn't have the ice grenade from what I remember. And if you fully upgrade the grenades in Eternal, you can get 2 of them at the same time. See, in 2016 you can get cornered and you can get anally fucked and you have to restart the arena again. But in Eternal, you have like 3 options to get out of this situation, while in 2016, if your grenades are out, you're literally fucked.
Sometimes there are so many enemies that you'll get knocked out of bounds where you won't be able to respawn or fall off the edge, effectively soft-locking the game, so have fun with that. Eventually you'll get the BFG and the other melee weapon that is basically a I don't feel like fighting this button, which the Marauder will also ignore that thing too. But
because just like how you can't cheese the bosses, you can't cheese the Marauder.
Even then, you'll find yourself reloading a lot of arenas because there are just too many enemies to deal with unless you do it in a specific way, because ammo is very limited and the BFG doesn't seem to effectively kill everything anymore. And
ammo is limited? What the fuck is this? Resident Evil? It's 1 button away. It's the C key. It's kinda in the left side of your keyboard. It's under the D key, next to the X and V key, above the space button. You can use it with your index finger. You can also press it with your thumb. You can press it with your dick if you want to. It's the C key. It's red for me. I colored it red.
feels like its effective range has been reduced too. Now, about that ammo pool. Even at max upgrades, you'll find that you have the same amount of weapons and the same amount of ammo types, but now you have, at times, less than half the ammunition available to you in Doom 2016. As an example, the maximum—
Again, that's to make you think about ammo usage and not make it just some mindless shooter.
The amount of ammo you can get for the shotgun is 24 shells in Doom Eternal, whereas it was 60 in Doom 2016. Supposedly this is geared to make you use all the tools in your arsenal, but for one, some weapons are much better dealing with certain enemies than others, and of course the good stuff is going to run out because they keep on spawning the harder stuff, and for another, if you have to use every item in your rotation in order to get through the mid to late game encounters, is that really having many tools in your arsenal, or is that having just one tool in your arsenal because you can't do it any other way?
Yes, you will have at least one tick in your chainsaw gauge at all times because it regenerates now, but half the enemies you fight are either chainsaw proof because I summon chainsaw deflectors. And in order to kill anything bigger than an imp, you need a full fuel gauge, which is hard to come by for most of the game. And lastly, before I forget about it in this Nintendo Heart segment, I'd be missed if I didn't mention that even on the default Hurt Me Plenty difficulty, all the demons in hell must live in pineapples under the sea because them suckers spongy. The issue—
What? How are they bullet spongy? Again, it might be because I finally learned how to do weapon swapping efficiently in the game, but I think demons in 2016 were way more spongy with the lack of enemy decay as you kill them.
Issues about ammo or enemy overabundance wouldn't be so bad if things went down in a reasonable number of chain gun rounds to the face. This all eventually leads to a very repetitive core game where you will almost always shoot the bad things until you run out of ammo, but now more bad things have spawned.
How do you run out of ammo? It is one button. One. Not two. Not three. Not four. One button. The C key. Only one. Not two. Just one.
You with low health, no bullets, and more demons than when you started with in the first place. Then you run away looking for a conveniently placed zombie to chainsaw and die a few times in the process until you figure out how this particular arena loops around, and you can do a little circuit around the arena waiting for your chainsaw meter to refill, chainsawing an imp, shooting a bit more, running out of ammo, running around in circles again to chainsaw another imp that will perpetually spawn. I find it ironic that while in the—
Notice how when he speeds the game up, he only has his plasma rifle out, like literally nothing else, just the plasma rifle. He isn't switching to adapt to the situation, and this is like the last level of the game too. That's fucking sad.
Last game, if you were low on health or munitions, you charge straight into the hordes of demons to refill your stuff. Now you have to run away because your melee no longer deals damage unless you have a specific power-up charge and will only stagger enemies at best.
It's to get you to use your guns.
Charging into an army of demons, looking to see what looks like it's about to go down in a couple punches, is offering up a lot more fun and a lot more creative ways to do things than running away in a circle until your chainsaw meter fills up because you can only do that to quick kill. I thought I was playing a Doom game, not soloing in a World of Warcraft expansion. And this all feels like a band-aid fix for not bumping up the ammo pool, which even though that isn't the case and is more of an attempt to make gameplay more simulating, it misses the mark and is now embedded into the leg of some poor sporting equipment store's hourly employee. Seriously though, if a fully powered up auto shotgun is a thing, it would be a way cooler thing if we were able to use it for more than 3 seconds in the late game. And if we're gonna be nitpicking guns, I guess I'll also say that the super shotty should be at least twice as fast as it was in Eternal, because I almost never used it based on how slow it was, and when I was forced to use it in certain segments, I was like, gee, I wish I had Doom 2016 super shotty right about now. And
well, no wonder you're shit, because you're not using all of your arsenal. You can literally upgrade the super shotgun to make it go faster.
As an insult to injury, if you die more than 3 times to any of the major bosses in the game, they'll start prompting you with one of the cheat codes so you can get through it, which I eventually begrudgingly accepted because I was sick of Nintendo Hard. And
why am I not surprised?
Lo and behold, I got him the first time with the Sentinel armor.
Well, maybe, just maybe, now this is just a thought, but maybe the Sentinel armor makes the game easier for you. You know, you'd think you need like a PhD in college, but no.
Personally, I think that maybe something a little less than this Sentinel armor cheat mode should have been Hurt Me Plenty mode, because while I played on Hurt Me Plenty, it felt like Nightmare from the last game and then some. The normal
probably because you're bad
mode of your game should be the intended experience for your game, and if someone who has been playing shooters for nearly 20 years now has to take cheats to get through your bosses, which honestly, I died more to the Marauders than I did to both the bosses combined, maybe you need a fresh batch of QA testers for your balance. Okay.
No, it's just that the QA testers weren't shit at games.
Okay, now before you type the obligatory "too hard for you" or the Dark Souls staple "get good" into the comments, let's talk about how Dark Souls Hard is different from this. Dark Souls Hard is hard, but it's fair. Every pitfall can be avoided on the first go-round if you're observant. Any boss can be beaten with patience and adherence to the game's rules and following the attack patterns. Dark Souls represents a carefully curated— Cat, you're a naughty boy. We just let you in. You want to go out now because there's no snacks in your bowl?
That's very funny. He has his cat in his room. What a mischievous cat. I wonder what it's going to do.
Are you just a hungry boy? Are you just a hungry boy? Are you bothering mommy into feeding you?
Did he just call himself mommy? What the fuck?
I'm leaving this in the video. Everyone on YouTube, the cat is being a naughty boy. Shame him in the comments. Okay, where was I? Oh, yeah. Dark Souls represents a carefully curated challenge that is definitely punishing at times and will make weaker-willed players chuck their controller, but ultimately, it's a challenge that can be overcome with enough determination and practice and is highly satisfying. I don't see how you can practice yourself past the insane amounts of screen shake that Doom Eternal has. Like, Jesus, even PlanetSide 2 devs must think this is excessive. Okay.
No, you just don't want to practice at Doom. It's that simple.
Okay, to wrap up the gameplay portion of this video, let's briefly go over the big whys. First off, why in a game lauded for being the granddaddy of all modern shooter games, which then revitalized the genre of single-player FPS 2 decades after its initial release, are we stopping between every fight to do 10 minutes worth of platforming challenges?
There was platforming in 2016, which is the game you call a masterpiece, and believe me, it was way fucking worse in 2016.
All the double jumps and monkey bars are really cool in combat, if they happen to be part of your runaway until you get more ammo circuit, but when the player has to stop the flow of gameplay to pause and figure out what order of color-coded ledges he's supposed to jump on in order to get to the other side, it's just not good. This goes doubles in spots where the grips are a little sketchy. Second big why. Why do we have timed target puzzles in Doom? It's like the platforming challenges, but more annoying. Third big why. Why in Shrek Swamp?
Ha 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 ha, he mentioned Shrek, that's very funny. The funny Shrek meme. Somebody once told me the world is gonna roll me. I ain't the shark.
Do we have swimming challenge segments in Doom? They're like time puzzles, but more annoying. All this stuff really doesn't help dissuade the notion that this game is using Nintendo Hard to pad for time. Seriously.
Jesus Christ, is he actually fucking drowning in the water? Probably can't swim anyway.
Seriously. According to Steam, it took me just over 14 hours to get from opening cutscene to credits, and I feel like maybe 6 or 7 hours of that was good, solid gameplay that wasn't bloat from the Nintendo Hard or skimming through walls of lore text. Speaking of which, let's talk about the story now. Okay.
Nobody cares about the story for Doom, so I'm just speeding this shit up.
Hey, real quick, I'm not doing a full anti-sponsor segment for this video because I wasn't planning on making this video, and unlike Doom Eternal, I don't need to pad for time on this big boy. The anti-sponsor for this week is a certain mobile game that's very controlling about what their sponsees say, and it's nearly everywhere on YouTube because they throw buckets of money at everything and everyone. I'll take my dignity instead, thank you, and it's anti-sponsor segment. Now, the story. The story feels very un-Doom-like, based on what Doom 2016 established, where our Doom guy literally throws away the exposition because he wants to get to the ripping and tearing.
Doom Eternal, Doom guy will just sit there while people exposit at him, including those who he needs to rip and tear right as they are well within ripping and tearing range. But no, they're just gonna stick their tongues out at you, call you a smelly doo-doo face, and teleport away. And then
Do you not know what the fuck a hologram is? Are you retarded?
all of the nitpicky crap out of the way so we can get to the stuff that I actually liked about Doom Eternal. First off, the stupid mandatory sign into your Bethesda account, which it turns out I already had one of those all along, and now I'm annoyed because I didn't get Morrowind for free because I didn't want to make one at the time, which—
Don't care, I like to separate art from its creator.
While it isn't everywhere, there's a clear lack of polish in certain areas. There's at times animation glitches if you run into things too fast, like previously mentioned. If there are too many enemies near you, they can knock you out of bounds. And would you like to enable sticky keys? And also towards the late game, I had a few crashes, and at times if you tab out of this game by accident or on purpose, you'll be met with a regular cursor stuck in the center of your screen that sort of spazzes out for a bit, and it just won't go away, no matter how many times you tab out and tab in again. Lastly, while this isn't a problem for you, Vulcan and Shadowplay do not get along well. Well, why not use the other recording thing? Because even though Vulcan is a very well optimized thing to the point of where you have to update your NVIDIA drivers to play this game, you're still pushing the limits of your machine playing this, and alternative recording softwares like OBS tend to be resource intensive, so you won't be able to run both at the same time if you want a decent frame rate on your footage.
Fucking finally, dude, someone actually mentions like actual criticisms of this game. Jeez. It isn't like you could have just made that the entire video and called it a fucking day, dumbass.
Of the 14 hours and change I played, I was able to get just under 4 of them.
When I look back at the 2/3 of the game that I re-recorded, it was only about 5 hours of playtime, effectively meaning that once you get past the difficulty and know how to get around Doom's Nintendo hard, Doom becomes a 6 to 7 hour game instead of a 14 to 20 hour game. This is the world we live in. Lastly, the UAC people are annoying and over the top to the point that it stops my suspension of disbelief for a bit towards the later part of the game. It's not a big nitpick, but it's there. Now, let's take a break from all this negativity and talk about what I liked about Doom Eternal for a bit. First thing that is great about Doom Eternal, everything that Mick Gordon was involved with. If Doom Eternal gets any awards in whatever is left of award season this year, I hope it's for OST. Mick made some serious weight room bangers for this game. Oh man, it's only a week and I already miss going to the gym. Secondly, the environments are gorgeous. Everything in Doom Eternal looks awesome, except for a certain shot of the final boss if you look at it too closely. And it made all those stupid platforming puzzles a whole lot more bearable because everything just looks so cool. Wandering around my little space sanctuary was actually pretty nice of a time, and hell has never looked as good as it has looked in Doom Eternal. Speaking of the space sanctuary thing, Doom Eternal does a great job with references and Easter eggs. It's definitely not too in your face, and they're all things that you'd only notice if you knew about it, and I stopped and laughed at quite a few of these. It seems that Doom Guy has great taste in practical reading. Too bad about literally everything else in his life. Finally, while they're few and far between, those rare moments when there aren't so many enemies that they get stuck trying to go through an archway at the same time, and the challenge is appropriate for the amount of ammunition and other resources you can have a lot of fun. This is why I'm so bummed about making this video. They had a good game with a perfectly balanced challenge at one point, but they had to keep tweaking it and pushing up the enemy count until it was considered a good time if you can get through a late game arena by only circling around a number of times you can use your hands to count. Yeah, I'm sure it's cool to show the suits how many AI bad dudes you can put in one map at any given time, and I'm sure that's going to be great for your Christmas bonus, but was it really worth it? Alright, so this video was really depressing to make. I was expecting better of the nice boys and girls at id Software, but Doom Eternal was so disappointing that after completing it and assuring that I had enough usable footage to make this video, I've already uninstalled it. I really wish it didn't have to be this way, but at least I didn't pre-order the $90 version of this game to buy DLC that I don't think I'm going to like. By the way, I have no interest in multiplayer or challenge maps because if the strong suit of this game wasn't good to begin with, I don't think I have any interest in the secondary parts of this game. If you were still on the fence about Doom Eternal and you found this video looking for guidance, I'd tell you not to buy it now at full price, but instead to wait for the inevitable 50% off Steam sale come Christmas time. In the meantime, Doom 2016 is still a perfectly good game, and if you're looking for that over-the-top action romp, there's Dusk, and if you're looking for hammy action cheesy story goodness, I just got done replaying Resident Evil 4, which has aged like fine wine. Resident Evil 4 will run you 12 hours of time past and has a much better flow of difficulty than Doom Eternal does. Also, it's got a...
Why the fuck are you comparing Resident Evil 4 to Doom Eternal? You know what? I was gonna try to finish this video, unlike I did with the 21 Kiloton dude, but I fucking can't. This is too much. I'm fucking done. Anyways, subscribe if you liked the video. I certainly did not. Put me out of my fucking misery already. Have a great day. Now, fuck off.